Now I'd like to change the height of level 2. I think 12 feet is a little high for a residence. So I'm going to change this value here by clicking on the number, and I'll type in 10, enter. In imperial units, when you enter an integer without indication of feet or inches, Revit is going to assume that you're talking about feet. So if I type 10, enter, it means 10 feet. In metric, when you type in an integer, it's going to assume that you mean millimeters. So if you want 2 meters, you would type in 2000, enter. Or you could type in 2m, or 2 meters, explicitly. And so as I change this value, observe that the walls go with it. And that's because the walls are set to go up to level 2, wherever level 2 is. And so this kind of highlights something about Revit, and that is everything is interconnected. This is very important. Any change that you make in any view will affect the entire model. So just by changing the elevation of a level can have a very dramatic effect on the project. So be careful about that, especially later in your design process. So you need to be aware of what you're doing so you don't break things. But at this early stage, it makes sense to kind of sketch out the height of our levels. And, later on, we might change our mind. Maybe we want the ceilings to be at, lower. We want this to be at 9 feet rather than 10. And we can make that change later if we want to. Nothing is ever fixed here. We can keep changing our minds and revising. That's the whole idea of Revit. It's making revisions over and over again. All right, we'll go back to 3D, and you can see now we have kind of brought our levels in closer to the kind of scope of what we're working on, and it makes more sense for our project. Okay, so now how am I going to turn this into my house? Well, I have some ideas in mind. I'd like to have the elevation be kind of like the archetypal house shape. It'll have a gable roof, it'll have a chimney, it'll be like a child sketch of a house in the elevation, but I'd like it to be really modern in other ways. So we'll explore that as we go through this video series.